gone so soon. But the question is, how soon should he return? What's up, guys? Hunter here, and here we are to do a nice little breakdown in this discussion on 4 nights and, ironically enough, 7 deadly sins in terms of determining whether, how long, whoa, we were going in a completely different direction. Essentially, we're here to discuss how long should Percy be not necessarily part of the narrative anymore. Putting it very, very lightly, considering the boy is straight gone. That boy is a phantom. He is no longer with us right now. That boy is chilling with the life spirits. And in a good way, maybe. In a not good way, also maybe. But we got a hefty little chunk to talk about, so let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Editing me. Ready. 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact. Percival. One of the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse has fallen. As of 128, not too many moons ago, Percival of the 4 Knights fell. Fell to no one other than himself. Fell to the temptation, fell to the fear that would consume him deeply. The worry of all of his friends being left behind. And not in the sense that he would leave them behind literally. No, that the life would leave their bodies if he stayed walking down the path he did. And thus, Percival decided to leave them. He decided to no longer exist. He decided to return to the void from whence he came. No more than an amalgamation of who knows how many separate individual creatures in order to be one thing, which was nothing at all. Percy has left us and ended part 1 of 4 Nights of the Apocalypse with chapter 128 of 4 Nights of the Ababalaba. So, with that being the case, Percy is gone. And luckily enough, we've seen a very similar scenario to this before. In fact, it's so similar that a lot of people, myself included, immediately started thinking of a certain something that happened in the original series. Or the prequel, I guess, the 4 Nights? I guess. I mean, 4 Nights is a sequel, so I guess, yeah, 7 Deadly Sins would have to be the prequel. But the prequel, 7 Deadly Sins. This is not the first time our main character was spontaneously got, admittedly, in a quite shocking manner, by quite the unsuspecting individual, leading to a certain point, or a time skip, where things had to pass off screen without that main character. In case you were forgetting, don't worry, I'm here to remind you, Meliodas, captain of the 7 Deadly Sins, he also fell. Fell quite drastically, too, though admittedly under completely different means and metrics. Meliodas didn't want to go. He ain't really have a choice in the matter. That man had no choice in the matter, but he ultimately ended up getting got by the Demon Clan. They came and said, Meliodas, let us get up in those cheeks, and they got up deep in them cheeks. All 7 different cheeks were got up in. It's kind of weird to think that Meliodas has a heart in his belly, but he does. And he got as well. So, of course, this duology is being written by the same person, illustrated by the same person. It's really all done by one guy, Nagaba Suzuki. So, there are 2 things that we know. Thing number 1, Percy will be back. There's no doubt about it. Like, unfortunately, as much as I would like to buy into the propaganda or the idea that, no, we're just having a hard main character switch. Percy was an intense, multi-chapter, multi-year-long fake-out. He was never actually our main character. Our main character was going to be Lance, or our main character was going to be Donnie, or our main character was going to be any of the other 4 Knights, any of the titular characters. Percy's our main character. He was very specifically invented for 4 Knights. There is a whole massive chunk of the plot that is fundamentally built around Percy. It's the same reason why no one really bought this. Even though I wasn't really reading 7 Deadly Sins when this happened. I wasn't too active in the community at the time, obviously. But I still remember, I was reading this when it came out week by week. No one really bought that Meliodas was going to get got and stay gone. This is well after the case of characters like Hendrickson, characters like Fraudrin, characters like, well, not Fraudrin, I mean, kind of Fraudrin, legally speaking, but characters like Dreyfus. This was way after the case where Nagaba introduced the fact that he's more than willing to get rid of characters, only to get rid of characters and bring them back. So naturally, no one really bought that Meliodas was going to be permanently gone from the narrative. Not a single soul did. And I don't blame people. We did not fall for the okie doke. As much as horrifying and sad that this was, we knew he was going to be back one way or another. And that's the same way I feel about Percy. It's just inevitable. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, I do like Percy as a protagonist. I know a lot of people have very mixed opinions on Percy, but personally, I was gonna do that personally, but personally, I'm a big fan of the guy. I actually really like his character writing, his character journey, and I do like that a majority of the plot is actually built around him, considering he's one of the most unique characters of our titular cast now. Because I love Lancelot, I know everything about his parents. Not much intrigue to be done there. I love, well, I mean, I like Tristan. I was about to say I love Tristan, but I like Tristan. Demon Mark Tristan, though. I love Demon Mark Tristan. But in terms of Tristan, love the kid. Fantastic potential. I know everything about him. Like, to the point where I have expectations that he is failing to meet. That man is somebody, or at least the children of somebody, and I low-key want him to do certain things that he's fumbling at right now. So, Tristan, cool guy. Wonderful. I know his parents, though. They gave me expectations. Same thing with Lance. Lance exceeded those expectations. Tristan, he's fallen a little bit short, but that's the point of his character, all that. And Gawain, Gawain is also another character who definitely has expectations foisted upon them. But Percy's just fundamentally the most interesting out of our titular characters in terms of sheer mystery. Even more than Gawain. As much as I love the whole dynamic of Gawain and the mystery behind their conception, if they were even conceived, rather created, and not created in the way that most people are normally conceived, that whole mystery is super duper interesting, and I can't wait to get further elaboration on that. But Percy's literally introduced a whole new mechanic. Man dropped life spirit lore. I still can't even spell life spirit. That's how crazy this new lore is. So obviously, Percy, way too important to be permanently gone, just in the same way that Meliodas was way too important to be permanently gone. But, of course, naturally, since this is a sequel, in a duology, I went back to the original series to see how long Meliodas was gone from the plot. Because notably, I believe we are on we had the time skip, which was first chapter, building into Bond reveal, then the second one, which was a Bond reveal, then Anne reveal chapter, so I think we're on 133 at the time of recording, if not 134, no, I think we're waiting for 134, because we've been on break for a hot minute now. But with that being the case, we've gone 5 chapters, count them, 5 chapters, without a solid mention of Percy. Well, no, a mention of Percy has been dropped. A mention of the 4 Knights have been dropped. We've even seen a whole section of the future, which may or may not include the 4 Knights, or may be contingent on whether the 4 Knights exist. All that has happened. All that is canon, but notably Percy has not appeared either in a character sense, in a flashback sense, really. He's been mentioned. So I went back to the original series. I went back to the end of Meliodas, and I said to check, okay, sure. He got in chapter 177. But how long did Nakaba wait to bring him back? And technically, I'm cheating when I say he was brought back in chapter 188. And here's the reason why. The reason I say I'm actually kind of cheating here is because he wasn't actually brought back in 188. Legally speaking, we got a glimpse of Meliodas. Oh, wait, nope, not here. We got a glimpse of Meliodas all the way back in 182. 5 chapters after his execution, we got a proper update on the character, where he was, why he was, how he was, all that. This exists quite quickly, too. Like, in the grand scheme of things, I forget how long the actual wait was between the 5 chapters. But, like, he showed back up 5 chapters after his execution, so we knew he was alive in some sense, shape, and or form. Sure, it introduced a new realm, in a similar vein to how Percy may introduce a new realm with his, whole post-mortem, pre-mortem, whatever kind of thing he is, I don't know. Whatever happened in Soul, the Pixar movie. But with that being the case, we do have an update on Meliodas in 182. Once again, only a hefty 5 chapters after he got dropped. And once again, I do not know the publication differences, and I was too lazy to look them up, I'll be completely real with you. But presumably, at most, it was 2 months that we were without Mel. At most. And sure, it's been a bit more than 2 months with Percy, because we've gotten 5 chapters deep. We've cleared this first metric, because Mel doesn't actually properly pop back up in the narrative until chapter 188, when he comes in and saves Elizabeth from Monspeet and Derriere. That was the main thing, where he reappeared properly in the narrative at the end of 188. And of course, we immediately hop right back into the battle with him against Derriere and Monspeet in chapter 189. So, Meliodas does not properly reappear in the mortal realm as a character that can actively influence the plot until chapter 189. So that is a solid 12 chapter gap. Well, no, 188. So it's a solid 11 chapter gap between 177, his execution chapter, and 188, his proper return. But 5 chapter interlude. So Nakaba's already cleared this distance. We are on 133. We haven't gotten a proper sighting of Percy. Not in the spiritual realm, not in no astral realm, no nothing. So we've already cleared that distance. And with that being the case, we now have 7 more chapters of leeway in terms of matching or beating Meliodas' resurrection time from the original series in terms of him being an actual active influence on the plot. But of course, this begs the question, was this good timing? Did Nakaba let us sink in long enough? Is this fine? Personally, I kind of wish Meliodas was removed longer. And especially in retrospect, I feel like he wasn't even gone for that long. Like, Meliodas' end at the Hand of the Commandments was basically nigh on irrelevant. Like, the 6-month time skip that we get but right after this man's end, barely even matters. At least not in my opinion. Not much is really done with it. Like, characters are mostly in the same spot. No characters have gotten exponentially stronger. There's certain things that transpire, but they usually transpire after this point. Like, remember, the whole Joel and Galactinia flashback takes place after this. Not before. So, like, we go, like, nothing happens in the sense that the only thing that happens is that the demons take over Britannia. But, like, okay, they're gonna do that anyway. Like, nothing really crazy happens in between those 2 points. So I do kind of wish Meliodas was gone longer. And now with this second hint at it, the second attack at removing our main character from the narrative, I shouldn't have been born. I shouldn't be allowed to exist. Bringing this back in gives us nice freedom and flexibility for what we could do now with this new means and metric. The beauty of this, and the fact that we've already cleared the 5-chapter gap, we're on 133, and we lost him in 128, it means we could hold him off for a hot minute. How long, though, is the question. Because here's the thing, Percy is our main character. He is. I love Lance. He's still a deuteragonist, though. I love Tristan, mostly. He's still a deuteragonist, though. He's another main character in the sense that he's one of the titular characters, but, like, you know who else was a main character? Escanor. That man didn't even get introduced until season 2. You know who else was a titular main character? Diane. Tell me how important Diane is as an original 7 Deadly Sins. I dare you. Gother? I mean, pretty important, but, like, still mostly a side character despite being one of the titular characters. Merlin? We didn't even get her character motivation until the end of the series. So, like, obviously, just like Meliodas is the main character of the original series, Percival is our main character of this sequel, the second part of this duology. So the question is, how long do we run without him? How long should we wait to get him back? Should it be 5 chapters? Can't be that anymore. Should it be 10? Should it be 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 70, 80, 90, 100? That's a good question. I'm leaning towards... I'm thinking 25. I'm thinking 20. And I know you're all going to be like, whoa, pencil. Series is only 133 chapters long. You're telling us to wait like an entire 6 of the series before we see Percy again? And I think yes, mainly because this is a unique scenario. And I think we should allow our characters to actually experience Percy's loss and us get to experience them experiencing Percy's loss. Because one thing I will give the original series, when Meliodas was gone, it affected things. Like deeply to the point for our characters and cast. Elizabeth was forced to grow up a whole lot before she got her memories back. Bond was forced to deal with all the hatred that he felt towards the Demon Clan, which led to one of the best fights in the series. Esterosa versus Escanor. Escanor was forced to step up and pop off as not necessarily a pseudo-leader, but like the resident powerhouse of the 7 Deadly Sins at that point and really step up and fight back against the Demon Clan invasion. King and Diane didn't get much. Gother didn't get much, but at least we got some of that. And I want that exploration for every bit of our cast. I want to take the time to flesh out and bounce out around. Because if there's one critique I did have to give a lot of early 4 nights is that our perspective is very, very limited. We are almost always in the vicinity of Percy. Which, you know, makes sense. He's our main character. But if there's one thing I'll give the original series, is that it wasn't necessarily afraid to cut away from Meliodas. For extensive periods of time, too. Like, when he was still alive, we would have whole sections where he followed characters like Bond, characters like King, characters like Diane, even for short periods. I think we had, like, a whole little section with Merlin and Gother. Like, there are times where we are fully willing to cut away. One of the best arcs in the series, while it's admittedly kind of based around Meliodas and his love for Elizabeth, Meliodas isn't even there. He's currently, like, remember, there's a large chunk of the series where Meliodas is in a ball being turned into the Demon King. Like, there's chunks where we don't have Meliodas. And in my opinion, that's some of the best writing in the series because we get to actually expand on our non-main characters, some of our side characters, some of our other titular characters. And I think this is the time to do that. Because, just based on how Nakaba's been writing 4 nights, I'm afraid the moment Percy comes back, we're going to re-centralize on him. We're going to lock back in on him. And while that's fine, I do like Percy. Don't get me wrong. I still love the boy. He's still my son. He's still my baby boy. I do want to see our characters and cast cook without him. I do want to see how our cast deals with his loss on an individual level. We already have developments and seeing how Lance deals with it. He responds with violence, and then Bond confirms that he responds with sadness. I want to explore more of the self-doubt and the negativity that Donnie and Anne are revealed to have post-time skip. When it comes to Percy, straight up, I've said it before and I'll say it again, despite how good of a character moment it is and how much he does it for his friends, as he literally says here, man, you know, I love all of you. So, like, we know he did it for them, but he abandoned them. And we know he's definitely, if indirectly, because he didn't think it through. Once again, I don't blame Percy for this. He's a child. He's a child's child, too. Like, he's not even a child in the sense that, like, oh, he's 16. Bro's basically a 5-year-old, like, mentally. Bro spent his entire life with his grandfather. It's very unique to social interactions. But with that being the case, he's facilitated this. The invasion of Britannia. The reason Britannia is looking the way it does now. He's responsible for all this. I want to fully explore that way before he comes back. Take your time, hop around, do what needs to be done. And I think 25 chapters is a nice, juicy amount where we can get that without necessarily leaving it for too long. Because I fully get why Nakaba didn't hold off on the Meliodas bite. In fact, I feel like the reason we get this sighting of Meliodas in 182 at the end of it is just because people were not really leaning with it, rocking with it for too much. Like, I still remember a lot of the discussion at the time is like, where's Meliodas? I want Meliodas back. Meliodas this, Meliodas that. Just because he was gone, and a lot of people knew he was going to come back. So I get why Nakaba was a little bit itchy with it and dropped his alive status in some way, shape, or form, even if only in a non-corporeal spirit form, in 182. Only 5 chapters, I think at most, like 2 months after he was dropped by the Ten Commandments. I get that. I think in the anime, I think he's gone in the anime for like 2 episodes. Like, he's really not gone that long. But whereas before, I think Meliodas is definitely a character that people are itching and clawing and scratching for, the beauty of the new cast is that it does have other people that the cast, and not just the cast, but us in the real world care about. A lot of people love Lance. It's just a simple, like, if you don't like Lance, you're wrong. No, I'm kidding. I'm not saying you're wrong. But I am saying it's okay to have the wrong opinions. But with that being the case, a lot of people love Lance. They love seeing the kid of Bond and Elaine in action. A lot of people are itching and scratching and fiending for some more of that main man Tristan right here. People are looking and itching for that man to cook. So we have time with that. Heck, I've even seen a growing preponderance of Gawain fans out there. Color me surprised. I mean, I like Gawain. But, like, I know people are going to be like, oh, Pencil, if you like Gawain, why should at the bottom of your list? Good question. She doesn't have that much screen time. That's exactly why I let her cook a little bit more. But that's the thing. This is the perfect time to let her cook. We have other titular characters who have connections to the original series, and we have characters from the original series in Meliodas, and Bond, and Gother. Well, Gother's with he's with Donnie and Anne right now. He currently got sliced in half. But, like, we got Gother, we've got King, we've got Diane, we've got their kids, a whole means about, I think, like 7 of them that we can still explore. There's so much that can still hold the cast and crew's attention in the narrative sense, and there's so much that can hold our attention in the reader's sense that I think you can remove Percy for a hot minute. I'm saying 25 chapters being conservative, you could make it 30. That's a solid I'm almost like, based on manga publication, if we do go with the 25 to 30 chapter reach, we probably wouldn't be seeing Percy until like the end of this year. Because about like 40 to 45 chapters release a year, because we're in the 130s, and Four Knights began publication, I believe, 3 years ago at this point. And we've had 3 years of Four Knights. So if it was the full 52, we'd be in the one Jimmy Neutron. What is that? We'd be at the full 156, I do believe. We'd be at 156, but we're only on 133. So, like, about 20 chunks out of the year get taken. So if we were to remove him and keep him gone for a solid, I don't know, 25 chapters, we probably wouldn't be seeing him until the end of this year, but I think that's fine. I think we have enough. That can fill in. And the beauty of Percy going in the way that he did is that, once again, Percy, he's not, like, actually gone. like in a legal sense, like he's not actually gone. In a similar way to how Meliodas wasn't actually gone. We got, oh no, oh no, the let's gone. We had 182. We knew he was a thing. We knew he was still alive. His return in 188 was kind of just the culmination of the buildup that was in 182, only 5 chapters after he got gone. Right here, we know he's a light spirit. He's still technically around. We don't, like, it's a thing where it's mysterious on where he is, but we know exactly where he is. This isn't even like at the end of 177 where we're like, uh-oh, where did his soul go? Did it end up in the capital of the dead? Did it end up in... I don't think Purgatory was mentioned at this point. I don't think so. But, like, was it getting reincarnated? Like, we had no idea where he was, but we know where Percy is. He just went back with the gang. Like, he just went back and became a life spirit again. We have the Carfax. We know where bro is. We just need to figure out how to get bro back. That's the beauty of it. We know where he is. Nakaba does not even have to give us those little teasers like he gave us at the end of 182. He does not need to drizzle feed us. We know where he is. He can be brought back at any point. We know he's going to be brought back, and we have a full cast of characters to take advantage of in the time that he's gone. So, at least in my honest opinion, I think we cut Percy at least for all 2024. Get him going. Full year. I'd say maybe, I know I'm pushing it, but maybe a whole 40 chapters. Let us get deep into part 2 before we get him back. Let us explore every single aspect of the character and avenue and world that has been opened by his leaving. Whether it be characters being manipulated and changed in certain ways, whether it be people building up animosity towards Percy, whether it be the Sins having to step up in ways they never had to step up before, whether it be Elizabeth being forced to cook, Meliodas being forced to cook, Diane and King being forced to cook, their kids being forced to cook. Someone needs to be chefing it up in the kitchen instantaneously. And we have so many people who can chef. From the strongest knight of the apocalypse, Lancelot, from the second mightiest in the Prince of the Underworld. Not the Prince of the Underworld, but the Prince of Leonis, Tristan, to the Master of the Sun, Gawain, to the Master of Poisons, Gnostians, to the Goddess of Truth, Anne, to the Mover and Shaker, Donnie, and all the Sins and every other character. There's so much to explore. Now that Percy has walked out that door, so I can't wait to see Nakaba explore it evermore. But of course, what do I think he's actually going to come back? I give it like 10 more chapters. I'll be real. I don't think Nakaba has the nerve to keep him going for a whole year. I'd want him going for a whole year, just so we can explore everything, but I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll come back to this video. Once he's back, I'll count the chapters again. I'll count the chapters, and I'll talk about how long he's been gone and how much of an effect it had at the end of part 1. However, that's what I think. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please do me a favor and leave Return of the Death in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Once again, please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member to the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to the very next chapter of 4 Nights of the Ababalaba. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays, Red Wolf 4765, Greyhound, and Akid's Void. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Sean, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, Demix LND, and Igneal. And I'd like to give a chunky old thank you to our $7 member, Autumn's Morning Lazo. And I'd like to give another chunka thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchio, Joaquin, Idemokai, and China Doll 09. I'd like to give a tractor thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give another giga gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.